Imagine spending your entire life preparing for one moment. You read every book. You memorize every strategy. You study every great commander from history. Everyone tells you, you are a genius. You were born for greatness. Then one day, you finally get the chance to prove yourself. You command a massive army. The whole world is watching. But within weeks, your confidence turns into disaster. Thousands of lives depend on your decisions. And you discover the most painful truth. Knowing the theory of success does not mean you understand reality. This is the story of a man who knew thousands of military strategies, but failed because he misunderstood one thing. The battlefield is not a book. His name was Zhao Kuo. Welcome to Human Nature Chronicles. Here we explore ancient stories, historical figures, and timeless lessons about human behavior. Because the world changes, technology changes, societies change, but human nature remains surprisingly similar. We still struggle with the same challenges: confidence, fear, ambition, failure, and the difference between what we know and what we can truly do. Today, we will explore the story of a man who had knowledge, talent, and opportunity, but discovered that intelligence without experience can become dangerous. More than 2,000 years ago, during China's Warring States period, many kingdoms fought for survival. Among them was the powerful kingdom of Zhao. At that time, one family was especially respected. The Zhao family produced famous generals, and among them was a young man named Zhao Kuo. From childhood, Zhao Kuo grew up surrounded by military discussions. His father, Zhao Shi, was a famous commander. He taught his son about strategy. He explained battles. He analyzed famous wars. And Zhao Kuo learned quickly. He was extremely intelligent. He could discuss military theories for hours. He could explain complicated strategies. He could analyze famous battles from history. Many people were amazed. They thought, this young man is a future great general. But there was one person who was not impressed: his father. One day, people praised Zhao Kuo in front of his father. They said, your son understands warfare better than many experienced generals. But Zhao Shi remained silent. Finally, he said something surprising. My son may know many military theories, but he should never command an army. People were confused. Why? How could a man who understood so much not become a great general? Zhao Shi explained, war is not only about strategies written in books. It is about unexpected situations. It is about people. It is about fear. It is about decisions when everything goes wrong. His father understood something important. A person can memorize thousands of answers, but still fail when facing a question they have never seen before. But Zhao Kuo did not understand his father's warning. He believed, if I understand the principles of war, I can win any battle. And this belief would eventually change history. Years later, a major war broke out between Zhao and another powerful kingdom, Qing. The situation became critical. The Zhao army needed a new commander. Unexpectedly, the young man who had spent his life studying war finally received the opportunity he always wanted. Zhao Kuo was chosen to lead the army. Everyone looked at him. This was his moment. The moment to prove that he was not just a student of war, but a master of it. But nobody knew that the greatest danger was not the enemy army. It was the competence inside his own mind. When Zhao Kuo arrived at the battlefield, many soldiers looked at him with hope. They believed a new commander had arrived. A man with knowledge, a man with confidence, a man who understood every strategy. But there was another person watching carefully. The enemy commander from Qing. His name was Bai Qi. Unlike Zhao Kuo, Bai Qi was not famous because of theories. He was famous because of experience. He had spent years on real battlefields. He understood something that books could never fully teach. War is not only about plans. War is about human behavior. When Zhao Kuo took command, one of his first decisions was to change the army's strategy. The previous commander had chosen a defensive position. He wanted to protect the army and wait for the right opportunity. But Zhao Kuo disagreed. He believed the old strategy is too passive. A strong army should attack. We should use the methods described in military texts. Many experienced officers were worried. They tried to advise him. They told him, "The situation is complicated. The enemy is dangerous. We need patience." But Zhao Kuo was confident. He believed they were simply too conservative. After all, he had studied countless battles. He knew the principles. He knew the theories. But there was a problem. The battlefield did not care about theories. Bai Qi noticed something important. He realized Zhao Kuo was eager to prove himself. He understood that the young commander wanted a decisive victory, so he created an opportunity. He appeared to retreat. To Zhao Kuo, this looked like a perfect chance. The enemy was running. The moment to attack had arrived. He ordered his army to advance faster, further, more aggressively. At first, everything seemed to go according to plan. The enemy was moving backward. His confidence grew. He thought, "This is exactly what I expected." But then, something changed. The retreat was a trap. The Chen army suddenly changed direction. The Zhao army found itself surrounded. Their supply lines were cut. They could no longer receive food. They could no longer easily escape. The young commander who believed he understood war was now trapped by a situation he had never experienced. Imagine this moment. You have spent your whole life preparing. Everyone believes you are talented. You believe you are ready. Then suddenly, reality does not follow the rules you expected. This is one of the hardest moments for human beings, because when reality challenges our beliefs, we often have two choices: change our understanding or protect our pride. Zhao Kuo chose to continue. He refused to admit that his plan had failed. He believed, if I continue applying the strategy correctly, the situation will eventually change. But sometimes, the problem is not that you are not working hard enough. The problem is that you are moving in the wrong direction. This happens in real life all the time. A person starts a business. The customers are not interested. But instead of changing the product, they say, "I just need more time." Someone chooses a career path. After years, they realize they are unhappy. But they continue because they think, "I have already invested too much." Someone enters a relationship that is unhealthy. They know something was wrong, but they refuse to accept it because admitting the truth feels painful. Sometimes, the hardest thing is not solving a problem. It is admitting that our original idea was wrong. The Zhao army became weaker every day. Soldiers were exhausted. Supplies were disappearing. Hope was fading. But Zhao Kuo still tried to fight his way out. Eventually, he personally entered the battle. The young commander who once discussed war theories confidently now faced the reality of war itself. He fought, but the situation was already impossible. The Zhao army was defeated. The battle became one of the most famous defeats in ancient Chinese history. The tragedy was not that Zhao Kuo lacked intelligence. The tragedy was that he never had enough time to transform knowledge into wisdom. He knew many answers, but he had not experienced enough questions. People often remember Zhao Kuo as a failure, but perhaps his story is more valuable because of that. Because most people are not destroyed by ignorance. They are often destroyed by believing they know more than they actually do. The danger is not learning. The danger is confusing learning with mastery. When people talk about Zhao Kuo, they often describe him as a foolish person, but that is not completely fair. He was not someone who refused to learn. He studied. He worked hard. He understood military theories better than many people. His problem was not a lack of knowledge. His problem was believing that knowledge alone was enough. And this is one of the most dangerous traps for intelligent people, because intelligence can create confidence. Confidence can create success, but too much confidence can prevent learning. A person who knows nothing usually understands they need help, but a person who knows a little may believe they know everything. This happens in many areas of life. Imagine two people learning how to swim. The first person reads every book about swimming. They study the movements. They memorize techniques. They understand the theory of breathing and balance. The second person spends years in the water. They make mistakes. They experience waves. They learn how their body reacts under pressure. If both stand at the edge of a calm swimming pool, the first person may look more impressive. But if they face a stormy ocean, experience becomes the difference. Life is similar. A textbook can explain leadership, but it cannot teach you what to do when your team loses motivation. A business book can explain success, but it cannot fully prepare you for uncertainty. A relationship guide can explain communication, but it cannot replace actually understanding another person. Information tells you what usually happens. Experience teaches you what to do when things stop going normally. The world today has many modern versions of Zhao Kuo. A young employee reads many books about management. They memorize leadership theories. Then they become a manager. But they discover people are not theories. Every person has different emotions, different motivations, different problems. A new entrepreneur studies successful companies. They learn how famous founders made decisions. Then they try to copy those methods, but they forget. Those decisions worked in a specific situation. A different market requires different judgment. An investor studies financial models. They understand numbers. But when the market crashes, fear appears, and suddenly, emotions become harder to control than mathematics. The problem is not knowledge. Knowledge is valuable. The problem is believing knowledge removes uncertainty. It does not. There is another lesson hidden in this story. Sometimes failure does not come from ignorance. Sometimes it comes from previous success. When a person succeeds once, they begin to believe, my way works. My judgment is always correct. My experience is enough. But the world changes. Situations change. People change. The strategy that created yesterday's success may create tomorrow's failure. Many companies disappear for this reason. They become successful. They dominate their industry. Then they stop learning. They believe we already know what customers want. We already know the market. We already understand the future. And then a new competitor appears. A new technology arrives. A new generation changes expectations. Suddenly, their greatest strength becomes their weakness. The opposite of arrogance is not weakness. It is curiosity. A truly capable person does not think, I know everything. They think, there is still something I don't understand. The greatest experts in the world usually have one thing in common. They remain students. They keep asking questions. They keep testing their assumptions. They keep learning from reality, because reality is the final teacher, not books, not theories, not opinions. 3 lessons from Zhao Kuo. Lesson 1. Knowledge is the beginning, not the destination. Learning gives you a map, but you still need to walk the road. Lesson 2. Never confuse confidence with competence. Confidence says, I believe I can do it. Competence says, I have prepared, tested, and adapted. Lesson 3. Stay humble when you succeed. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is often the moment you begin to fall behind. Zhao Kuo's story is tragic, but perhaps that is why it remains valuable, because his mistake is not rare. It happens to ordinary people every day. The question is not, do I know enough? The deeper question is, am I willing to discover what I don't know? Thousands of years have passed since Zhao Kuo's battle. The weapons have changed. The world has changed. But the battlefield remains the same, because every person faces a battle between what we think we know and what reality teaches us. A student believes, I understand this subject. Then they enter an exam and discover, knowing the answer in theory is different from solving the problem under pressure. A young person believes, I know how success works. Then they start a business and discover, success is not only about ideas. It is about patience, uncertainty, and making difficult decisions. A person believes, I understand myself. Then life creates a crisis, and they discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. Reality has a way of showing us the difference between information and wisdom. Today, we live in a world where knowledge is easier to access than ever before. With the internet, we can learn from experts around the world. We can read books instantly. We can watch thousands of hours of lessons. And now, with artificial intelligence, information is becoming even easier to obtain. But this creates a new challenge. When information becomes cheap, judgment becomes valuable. Knowing how to write a business plan is easy. Knowing whether the business idea is actually worth pursuing is much harder. Knowing how to create a video is easy. Understanding what people truly want to watch is much harder. Knowing what successful people did is easy. Understanding why it worked is much harder. The future does not belong only to people who collect information. It belongs to people who can think. So, how can we avoid the mistake Zhao Kuo made? There are 3 lessons. Lesson 1. Turn knowledge into experience. Do not only read about something, practice it. Do not only watch people succeed. Try. Make mistakes. Learn from reality. A person who takes action and fails often learns more than a person who studies forever and never begins, because experience creates understanding. Lesson 2. Ask reality for feedback. Many people protect their ideas. They only look for information that proves they are right. But growth requires a different mindset. Ask, what evidence shows I might be wrong? What can I improve? What am I not seeing? The strongest people are not those who never make mistakes. They are those who discover mistakes quickly. Lesson 3. Stay a beginner. No matter how much you achieve, never believe you have finished learning. The moment you think, I already know enough, you stop growing. A beginner's mind keeps you curious. Curiosity keeps you adaptable, and adaptability keeps you alive in a changing world. The tragedy of Zhao Kuo was not that he had knowledge. Knowledge was never the enemy. His mistake was believing knowledge was the same as wisdom. A map is useful, but a map is not the journey. A theory is valuable, but a theory is not reality. A plan is necessary, but the ability to adapt determines the result. Perhaps the greatest lesson from Zhao Kuo is this: do not be afraid of not knowing. Be afraid of believing you know everything, because the world will always be bigger than our understanding. And the people who continue to grow are the ones who remain humble enough to learn. Thank you for watching Human Nature Chronicles. Here, we explore ancient stories, forgotten moments in history, and timeless lessons about human behavior. Because behind every historical event, there is a human story. Behind every human story, there is a lesson that still applies today. The story of Zhao Kuo reminds us, knowledge can open the door, but experience teaches us how to walk through it. If you enjoyed this story, and you want to discover more ancient stories with modern life lessons, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating stories, connect the past with the present. Every week, we'll explore another person, another decision, another moment in history to understand one thing: human nature. Thank you for watching. And remember, the smartest person is not the one who knows everything. It is the one who knows there is always more to learn. See you in the next story.